You're listening to the Fox Den Sports Podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Todd and his three sons, Kellen, Garrett, and Gannon.
Hello, everyone, and we'd like to welcome you back to the Fox Den Sports Podcast, along with my sons, Kellen, Garrett, and Gannon. I am Todd Fox, and we would like to welcome all of our friends, our family, and our foes. Got a lot of foes out there, a lot of foes from Arizona who I really don't care for right now. But we would like to welcome you to our podcast as well. I don't know what number it is. I think it's 106, 107, 108. Doesn't really matter anymore at this point, so we're going to get into it. I'm sorry, but we missed the last couple of weeks. We had a holiday season coming up. A lot of us were extremely busy, so we were unable to get on. Garrett was out of town all week last week, so it was kind of difficult. So we're not able to get on the podcast, but we are here now, and we're a few days ago. The Oklahoma Sooners were beat 38-24 by the Arizona Wildcats in a bowl game that honestly we should have won. We were the better team, and just 6 turnovers happened, and it was an ugly performance. But I want to see what everybody else has to say about it, and we'll kind of discuss a few things. So, what are your all's thoughts on the bowl game?
First off, I'll say one, props to Arizona. Like, even though we had the turnovers, they still forced them. But putting that aside, that was also probably the sloppiest OU game I've seen in a minute. Offensively, defensively, holding them to 38, honestly, one of them being a pick six, and a lot of those touchdowns coming from very short field possessions. I felt like our defense did pretty solid. But offensively, yeah, that's just something you can't do. I know we lost to Levy and everything, a first-time starting quarterback, but either way, I know, like everyone's saying, like Oklahoma still has standards, and that's just embarrassing, honestly. But also this turnover story they had, once they got one on there and they started talking about it all the time, I was like, great. I could already see the headline and the social media posts and everything of like, Arizona, let's fill up the sword, and it's got a bunch of footballs on there, and I could already see that painting on the wall. It was just some things you can just tell. No, and I hated how much I loved it. I really did like it. We don't have anything like that. Most big teams do, like whether it's a necklace or a throne or whatever, but no, we ain't got nothing. Which I guess it's fine. Turnover's a turnover, but.
Well, the game didn't start off well. I know they took, 13-0 lead, I believe. And then we came back, tied it, or got to 14-13 at halftime. Things were looking good. We were rolling. We were up, I think it was 24-13, going down, possibly to score another touchdown. Could have been a field goal, whatever might happen. But then Arnold makes the throw. Farouk catches it, but then fumbles it. So, I mean, it's just a weird play.
That was like one in a million.
Yeah,
that was so important.
I can't fault them for
that.
No.
Game over at that point. If we score a touchdown on that drive, game's over. Game's over, and we would have won the bowl game. And it's easy to sit there and say, some fans, oh, well, it's okay. Nobody cares about the bowls. Well, I mean, I care. I wanted to win. And I know Drake Stoops cared. He wanted to win. That's kind of who I feel really bad for is Drake Stoops. But Arizona outplayed us towards the end of the game. They made the plays when it needed to happen. I mean, for us to even be close in that game with 6 turnovers is amazing. And Jackson Arnold, I mean, I think he played well. He had 66 yards?
61
yards. And he had 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 26-45 passing. So I think he had a pretty decent game. He's showing you what the future has, and that's his first start. And I think I don't know the answer to this, but I think that was their game plan, was to get him to try to throw the ball as much as possible to try to get him just some experience. And that's what he got. And a couple of those interceptions were, I think, the more he plays, he won't make. he was a little bit what do you call it? A little
Hesitant,
Late.
kind of locked in.
on the ball
Yeah.
to Stoops on the sideline. The one over the middle, I know the safety made a really good play on it, and then the one the linebacker caught. So I mean, all three of those, I mean, are probably plays that he may, hopefully, not make in the future, but we'll see. But he's got some wheels as well. He was running the football well. Sawchuck was running the ball well. I know a lot of folks are trying to figure out, like, if he was running the ball so well. I mean, he had like 8 yards per carry. He had 115 carries for 134 yards. I mean, why not keep having him run the football? And I don't know the answer to that. I just think that they were trying to get Jackson Arnold as many touches and as many throws as he possibly could get.
That's what I kept saying the night of, is like, well, one, if Jackson Arnold had that bad of a game in his first start, usually it would be against like Tulane or somebody, and it's just like, yeah, rough game, we still take care of business. And then he comes back week 2 and plays a lot better. But also, I'm happy with like how they didn't like get conservative with him or like get soft. Like, I like how they just kept going aggressive. Now, it may not have worked out because he had 3 interceptions, but if we got soft with him, that shows low confidence and like we're scared to get him out there. But I'm glad we just kept going at him. And like, I think this kind of game with this kind of experience is going to mean a lot going into next year. And also, it's not good. Like, I don't want him to get all this hate, but with people, with what they're probably saying online, he's going to be fired up all summer long. And I think that's awesome.
Well, yeah, the biggest thing for me that stood out was that he didn't stop, or he didn't get conservative. Like, he still took shots. He still took tight windows and fitting it in there, or making a throw with a guy coming right at his face and still making a very impressive like back foot throw, stuff like that. So, like you said, he stayed aggressive. And honestly, this is probably going to be the first time he's gotten a ton of just, not from Oklahoma fans necessarily, hopefully. Yeah, but like media hate on his performance, because during high school he was a superstar and he hasn't played yet here, and he's only seen good things about his name. But I mean, that's going to be the biggest thing, is how he responds to it. But I have no expectation that he'll shy away from it.
The only things. Go ahead, Gam.
No, you go for it.
Well, I was just gonna say the only bad thing that OU fans, those people have no clue. They're just like thinking we should be able to win every single game, and they're not realistic, and they're just haters anyway. So I don't. Those people don't matter. So, but you're correct. I mean, he's not. He's going to only. That's probably the first time he's ever going to have to deal with any kind of adversity. But he's going to be fine from it. He's got a cannon for sure, and he's got his release. I love his release. It's very quick release.
Super quick.
Like I said, he could run. I mean, I personally think if Dylan Gabriel plays that game, we probably win. But guess what? Then Jackson Arnold doesn't get any reps, doesn't get any much playing time, if any. So I'm happy the way it turned out. I mean, when I say that, I'm not happy with the result of the score, but I'm happy he got playing time and he got to play against Arizona's a good football team. They're not a top echelon team. They're not one of the blue bloods, anything like that, but they had a good
top
season.
10 this year, though.
Yeah,
in my opinion, I'd say so.
They're a good football team. We could not stop those 2 receivers and then the quarterback. I mean, the quarterback, in the second and third quarter, I felt like we kind of controlled him, and then all of a sudden it happened.
Well, even in the fourth, terrible. He just he got ball a good position every possession. Like, they only had a couple drives where they moved the ball on offense. It was all defense. They kept trying to compare him to a Patrick Mahomes with a Kyler Murray body. That dude was terrible. That's an insult. That's an insult to Mahomes. That's an insult to Kyler Murray.
Well, also, like, there's plenty of quarterbacks who can scramble around the pocket. Like,
yeah, he made one play and it was a 2-point conversion. It was a 2-point conversion.
Just annoying, but it's pretty funny though.
That annoyed me.
He made one nice scramble pass as a 2-point conversion after a pick six. Like, he was not good. That defense won the game. More, Oklahoma lost the game. Like,
we lost the game.
They were the better team, and we got all that momentum finally after Arnold started getting going, and it looked so effortless, and he just launched the ball 45, 50 yards down the field, and it looked like he wasn't even breaking a sweat. I think we could have ran the ball more, but it was nice to see. All season I've complained about how conservative we were, and we didn't get conservative once. I think we could have got a little more conservative and just calling a run play or two towards the end. But especially that one after Farouk's fumble and all that, the next drive is like, all right, let's just slow it down a little bit. We're still are in a good position, and then we turn it over again.
Well, like Dad said, that we score on that Farouk drive. That's our second drive coming out of half, because 14-3 at half, score a bomb to Brennan Thompson at halftime, take a big lead, not big, about 10 points. And then Farouk, like I've said, that was the worst game of his career by far.
Sure.
And 2 fumbles from him is very uncharacteristic. That first fumble in the first half, in my opinion, was caused by Stoops kind of being in the way and messing him up. I think he had a good idea of where he was at and where he was going. And then he sees Stoops come up behind him. And I don't think he thought anybody was behind him because of that. And that's where that fumble came from, was someone punching out from behind. So I think if Stoops, like he was trying to block but isn't kind of right in his path and in his way, that's fine. But, I mean, stuff happens. But that was –
Sawchuk, go ahead.
That was the worst game Farouk's played turnover-wise easily. And like Dad said already, I mean, we probably would have scored on that drive, if not a field goal, and it's
at least a field goal.
Completely different game.
Yeah.
Because
Sawchuk had 15 carries, 134 yards. He had a long 62-yard run. So you take out that long run, he has he averages 4.8 yards a carry, which is still good. So
yeah.
And with the line, and we could sit there, and I'm not going to make excuses. I mean, we lost the game. We still had Rouse in there, and we had Matire in there. So, what's that?
But even they only had 3 sacks. It's not like their defensive line was crazy. And all
saying.
the Arizona fans were saying, like, "Oh, I'd love to see you try and run on our offensive line." Okay, 200 yards. How do you like that? Like,
and
that's our very – we had 2 starters in there. The rest of them are basically making their first starts against, again, a defensive line they were very confident in for whatever reason. And that was the first time our defensive line decided to show up all year as well. It just sucked that our back end.
Before the game, we were going to have 5 sacks. I'm thinking, okay, we're going to win this ball game for sure, is what I would think. Because we had, 5 sacks. That's they
5 sacks and 30
really
rushing
good.
yards.
Well,
30 rushing yards.
They got a lot of pressure on him, even without the 5. I mean, you take.
That's the only reason we got the pick.
Right.
We hit his arm, if I'm not mistaken.
They played very well, so I'm not going to take it away. I mean, I just wish, for whatever reason, and I love Venables to death, but his defenses have always, at least at OU, given up big plays. And it's frustrating. I know that, but they've always given up the big play. I didn't watch him a whole lot when he was at Clemson for those, 8, 9, 10 years that he was there, but it is what it is. I still think we're going to be better off in the end with getting some of the players in there, hopefully. I know. I can't wait till David Stone gets in. I think he'll be a wrecking crew. I just hope and I pray that they play him from, if he's good enough, which he should be, and I think he will be. But play him if he's good enough. Play him. No reason to wait. Get him out there and let him play.
I think he'll play. My only thing that kind of stinks, it's good, but we have 2, DeJoun Terry, I think, and then Coe are both coming back, which is our 2 nose tackles. So that's his position. So maybe he's got the speed to come off the edge. I just don't think that's his natural position. So that'll be interesting. And maybe we'll switch it up a little bit and have more bigger bodies on the defensive line and rely more on Stutzman and Kip Lewis, which I'm fine with because, like I said, I think next year they're going to be the best linebacker core in the country, in my opinion. But because Kip had another great game.
Kip's
great
good.
Game.
Kip Lewis is good. He led the team in total tackles, and he's really good. And I thought Kanik played a lot better in that game as well.
He's putting pressure. He
got
on that big touchdown, or not touchdown pass, but the big 50-yarder that Woody Washington should not have let happen. Yeah. He ran through that running back. But
Woody Washington cannot let guys be that open, and he kept doing it that game.
Which
I heard there's a chance that he may even come back next year. I don't know if you heard that, but it's a chance he'll be back.
I'd love it because having him one more year and Gentry again, Gentry's still young, but I mean, he's showing a lot of improvement.
Yeah, he's going to be even better next year.
And then you're going to have Billy Bowman again.
Billy Bowman,
Hopefully, I'm still seeing a few things saying he might go. No, I know, but I'm saying like after the game, people are thinking for whatever reason that he'll leave. I don't think so, but Billy Bowman, Peyton Bowen. One thing I'm slightly concerned about, Deshaun McCullough's brother entered today.
Yeah.
So I don't think he'll follow. Not that he did much this year anyways. We have to use him because he's a first-round talent, and I just don't think for either he hasn't learned it enough or Venables isn't confident in him. I don't know.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't leave. I hope he does not, because it'll be much different next year being in the SEC. And as we all know, it's going to be hard. It's at this point I can't tell you. I'm not going to predict anything because I have no idea who we're going to have and all that. But I heard, I think Garrett, we talked about it, I think yesterday, that Casey Thompson may be in line and maybe coming to be our backup quarterback. He was at Texas. He went to Nebraska, and then he played last year. Was it South Florida?
FAU.
Yeah.
But he tore his ACL like either week 1 or before even week 1, so he didn't really play much.
So his dad was Charles Thompson, played for the Oklahoma Sooners in the 80s. Fantastic wishbone quarterback. But anyway, bottom line is, as long as we get somebody in there that has a little bit of experience, I'll feel much better about that. Got to shore up the offensive line. Got to get a good tight end, I think. I think the receivers are going to be fine. I think Nick Anderson's a star in the making. I truly think he has the potential, in my opinion, to be a first-round draft pick here in the next couple of years. We've got the kid coming from Purdue. We still got Anthony coming back. We'll have Farouk. We have Gibson. So I think the receiving core is going to be fine. Just got to get that, like I said, the offensive line, and then worry about it. I shouldn't say worry, but let's get that defense lined up, fixed. Fix the defensive line, and I promise you, I think we'll see a lot of things happening on the defensive side of the ball.
But even on the offensive line, even though they played not great, only in my opinion, one of those turnovers was because of the pressure from the offensive line. So there's still hope there. As much as we'd want to see better.
100%. There's hope. It's just
Arnold's not a guy that's going to get flustered under pressure very much, and he's also, like you mentioned, he's got enough speed that he'll be able to get out of it.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I can't wait. I cannot wait until football season for OU is over, but it'll be here hopefully in 8 months, I guess. Again, can't wait for that to happen, but it'll be fun. Can't wait. A lot of I know we play at LSU, at Auburn. Where else? I know we play home against Alabama, South Carolina, Tennessee. I think we go.
Ole Miss is going to be an interesting one because they are dominating the transfer portal.
Missouri's a good football team as well. They just beat Ohio State, but it's a very weak Ohio State football team. So, that just makes me go to what do you guys think about the bowl games? Do you think there's too many? Do you think because there's too many bowl games in my opinion, but I don't know what you guys think.
I think there's too many, but it's also just watered down because every bowl game, one of the teams is like half strength in a way. I don't know. I feel like it used to just be exciting, like watching a bowl game, but now it's just like, it doesn't hit the same.
NIL's different, and players sitting out more nowadays than they used to. So a lot of that is tied into it. So it's frustrating. My personal opinion, and I don't know how they would figure it out, but make sure NIL doesn't happen or the transfer portal doesn't open until after bowl season. I wish that were the case. Maybe.
Yeah, I agree.
How would that be a summertime thing?
Yeah,
not a lot happens during the summer, anyways, for recruits necessarily. So make that for the transfer.
Perfect. Yeah, it'd be perfect.
I know
hardly anybody commits during that time.
Yeah, I'm sure they want to get everybody there by spring campus is the issue.
Sure.
Guess that's fair, yeah.
And it makes sense, but I don't like bowl games because it's not fun when 40 different players between two teams are sitting out.
Like Georgia stomped Florida State. That wouldn't.
Yeah, unless it's playoffs, it's just not very fun anymore. And I'm not just saying that because we lost. It's just.
I mean, they had a couple people out as well, not nearly to the extent we did, but they did have a couple people out as well.
But still, like, even like win or lose, like bowl games in general, like I don't typically watch hardly any of them other than ours and playoffs because it's just not the same.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, the next
If
best
you're-
option was either, like Dad mentioned, Georgia, Florida State, which wasn't a game, or Oregon and Liberty, which also
But
wasn't.
I'm pretty
a game.
sure
Like,
Georgia and Florida
really?
State had a boatload of people sitting out between the two of them.
Yeah. What was
Gannon, were you
Gannon,
gonna
what
say
were you saying?
Well, I would say if you're drafting a player, because this came up the other day, if you're drafting a player, does it change your opinion if they sit out a bowl game or not? In my opinion, not a ton, especially if it's a meaningless bowl game. I think it kind of like shows I guess a little bit of character, you could say, but like I'm not just gonna drop a draft prospect just because he sits out in a bowl game. That doesn't.
I mean, but for me, it still makes more sense for the guys that are about to go in the draft. The transfer portal just made it bigger, but like I understand if you didn't make the playoffs and you're like, you know what, I'd rather I'm about to get a high draft pick. So like before NIL stuff, like the NFL was how they were going to go make their money. So that made a little more sense. It's just all the transfer portal guys now that they transfer, so now they're not playing in anything just so they can go to a new team. So like,
Yeah.
I don't think it affects NFL teams because it makes sense why those guys sit out. But
one of them that I had an issue with, I wouldn't really say big issue, but it's concerning to me, is the Malik Murphy kid who left from Texas to go to Duke. He's one play away from playing in a playoff game if something happens to Quinn Ewers. So he left his teammates and all that, and I get it. He's trying to take care of himself, but you're leaving your teammates. All it takes is one play. And if Quinn Ewers goes down, now they're going to be going to Arch Manning, who has zero experience at this level, especially in a big-time playoff game. And I know Murphy started, I think, 2 for sure. 3 games is what I'm thinking.
Maybe even 4.
Yeah,
maybe.
He looked pretty good. So that's that kind of piece right there is some of the things that I can't stand about this stuff. I know the first time I ever saw it was Boise State 17 years ago in Oklahoma. We had Reggie Smith, one of our cornerbacks, and Malcolm Kelly, one of our wide receivers, sit out. And I was like, sit out? Like, what do you mean sit out? Because they were wanting to get ready for the NFL draft, and both of them tanked in the NFL. And I actually thought it was funny because it ticked me off that they did not play against Boise State. And it's not the reason why we lost, but having 2 key guys like that would have definitely helped us in that game as well. So,
in my opinion, though, it's just like, I just don't understand how you could go to a school, and maybe not necessarily because of the transfer portal now it's impossible, but like you can go to a school, be there for 3-4 years, fighting with them all that time. Like you get to a big bowl game and you sit out, and because you sit out, your friends, teammates, buddies, they get embarrassed on national TV because you are too worried about yourself. And I get the whole money thing, but like we mentioned, NIL now, you're getting plenty of money. It doesn't matter what pick you are if you're that good, you'll make money in the NFL.
sure.
So in my opinion, I would definitely shy away from anyone who picked to opt out of a bowl game.
Well,
Now,
go ahead.
Well, like if it's like I don't know, I'm trying to think of a really bad bowl game, but an early December bowl game from a guy, and it's 2 terrible teams, it's like, okay, that's a little different because that's not necessarily as much prestige, I guess, from winning that game. But from some of these bigger schools, whenever you have a big matchup and a lot riding on your name and historic of the college, like I don't understand that.
For example, like Marvin Harrison sitting out on the Ohio State's game, does that change anything about your opinion on him? I would still draft him as high as I could. I just don't know if that really would make me like.
I wouldn't pick him top 5. Wait, I'm not saying his talent wise, but for me, here's the thing: my next guy would have been Keon Coleman. He set out as well, and then next one's Neighbors. I don't know if Neighbors set out. He probably did as well. So like, yes, you're gonna have to go way down if you wanted to follow, my rule, which I'm not a GM, so it doesn't matter. But I'm definitely going to have some character questions for someone like that because it just doesn't make any sense.
Here's what I like: Tawee Walker playing the game and then goes to Wisconsin the next day. He actually played the game.
You like that?
No, I like that he played. I like that he played the game. I don't like the fact that he left, but I like the fact that he actually played the bowl game for us and then decided to leave.
Well, what I don't like is him entering the portal and then playing and then leaving.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, if you're going to do that, play the game, enter the portal, and then leave. Like,
Yeah.
That's what I don't like is necessarily the order that he did it. I don't like. He probably wouldn't have played much next year anyways. But
no. We got
because one thing I've been wondering, which I'll need to look at this, but Javonte, are we able to redshirt him this year now? Because I don't know if he even played 4 or 5 games.
I don't know. We may not. I wouldn't be surprised if there's another portal opening. I believe it's in April timeframe. I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves as well. I hope not, but you never know. But Sawchuk needs to be the guy. Hopefully he'll be healthy all year and just keep running the ball with him. But we'll see. It'll be interesting. Definitely be interesting. But I can't stand all the movement. I know they're going to have to do something different and change it somehow, some way. Years ago they made it to where if you transfer, then you had to sit out a year. I think that would slow some stuff down for some of these kids. Not saying that's the right thing to do. I don't know if you make them sit out the first 3 games. I don't know. I mean, who knows what? But there's got to be something done to where it slows it down just a hair.
Well, I think it should be something if you play like 50% of the games or something, then you wait a year because you were playing at the team you were at. So it's not because it's not like you're leaving to get a shot. Like you were getting a shot. But if you weren't playing, feel free because then I understand that. But
Cal Gundy said that they should be forced to pay if they're making NIL. They should be forced to pay, 10, 15, 20% of that back if they do leave the school. Maybe that helps. I don't know the answer to that, but it's just frustrating. It's the way the football is now. You're going to have 2 super conferences. You're going to have the SEC and Big Ten, which is going to be fantastic. Somehow, some way, Florida State and Clemson are going to figure out a way to get out of the ACC, and they're going to probably most likely join the SEC. It's just kind of a guess of mine. I don't know. I just wish there was a way to – it is what it is. They're not going to be able to do it. I just wish there was, make 3 super conferences but it's not going to happen. You're going to have 2 super conferences is basically what it's going to come down to. Big 12 is going to be a step down, but if you talk about basketball-wise, they're going to be one of the best basketball conferences for sure. But we'll see about that. That'll be another year until basketball season starts. I know Sooners are doing pretty well. I think we're 12-1 in basketball this season. Big 12 play, I think, is getting ready to start up pretty quick. So, but anyway, it's going to be interesting. Kellen, what Georgia-wise, they stopped Florida State. Were they obviously expecting that? I'm assuming, but have you heard anything from anybody there?
I haven't seen anybody yet. I haven't been out of the house hardly.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys.
I'm sure I'll hear a lot tomorrow.
On YouTube, we're getting, our YouTube channel, Fox 10 Sports. We're getting comments from people, about how we're going to cry and whine, whenever we go to the SEC. I got news for you. We're not going to be crying. We're not going to be whining. We're realistic in knowing that we're stepping into a much bigger challenge that's going to be in front of us with Georgia, with Alabama. I mean, LSU's, whoever. It's going to be challenging, but we're not coming in to lose. We're going to come in there and try to win. So it's going to be different. It's going to be difficult, but we're not going to be crying. We're not going to be whining. You won't hear that here on this podcast anyway. And Sooner fans are not going to be crying and whining. So. But I get, it is what it is. Hey, keep the comments coming. We love them. But
like I
think it's
responded
something original to talk about.
Like I responded to one of them. If you took Oklahoma's record against SEC opponents and compared it to current SEC people, we would be number 1 in the conference in SEC conference play winning percentage by like a good amount. So it's not like Oklahoma's not up to that standard. And a lot of people might be like, well, what about that was way back when we were dominating and everything. Like, doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean,
the name's still Oklahoma. Nobody wants to play Oklahoma. Nobody wants to recruit against Oklahoma, especially with Venables there. So
when Saban decides to retire, Alabama's going to take a little hit. I'm not going to say they're going to go from here to way down here, but they'll take a hit. I guarantee you, he's
Saban. So nobody's matching that.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. He's worth, a couple extra.
A win and a half.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
a year.
If you don't have him, you're probably going to lose at least 2 games a year. If you don't have Nick Saban, at least 2, most likely 3 games a year. So Kirby Smart's going to be the one that's going to most likely take over. That's kind of why I'm rooting for Alabama to win the national championship. Not really rooting for them because I'd still like to see Michigan win personally. But if Saban retires or if Saban wins the national championship, I could see him retiring this year because I think all this NIL deal, all this kind of garbage is just – he's just had enough of it.
I mean, if they win this year, it's a good time to retire. Like, just retire on top one last time. Like,
100%.
Not that I don't think he can keep winning, but, like, does he – I mean, that's a hard job. At some point, you deserve retirement.
Sure. I think he's 72, 73 years old. So, yeah, he needs to –
Everything changing, like, more than it ever has, especially in his days. Like, that's a lot to try and switch and still be competitive. Well, not that, but I'm more so talking about NIL and transfer portal and such, which he's still getting any player he wants, essentially. But
he's losing guys that a lot of teams wish that they had. I mean, he's got somebody that he's going to be bringing in right behind him. That's just what it is. He may not want to retire because he's just got this thing going. But I'm just thinking, I'm thinking that that's just me. I'm thinking that if he wins the title, hey, like Kellen just said a minute ago, leave on top. That'd be fantastic. Give everybody else a chance. Way I'm looking at it, But I know Big Ten. I mean, they're going to have Ohio State, Michigan, but then they're also bringing in USC, Washington, Oregon. I mean UCLA, but they're not as strong. But I mean that's going to be a pretty good conference as well. College football is just changing, and we've got to, as much as I can't stand it, I've got to get with the times. That's what it is. And your kids will be looking at it, and it'll be normal to them. And it's not anywhere normal to me. And eventually, it will be for you guys. So it'll be fun. It'll be interesting. Can't wait. Cannot wait.
Got a question that I posted a couple of weeks ago when, we were expecting to shoot a podcast, but so heading into the SEC next year, would you rather have at quarterback Sam Bradford, Baker, Kyler, and Jackson? And this is more so I get like their first year starting. So not like necessarily prime Bradford, prime Baker. Kyler was essentially in his prime from day one, honestly. Or would you rather bet on Jackson Arnold that he's going to, not necessarily be better in a sense, and maybe so, but be able to win just as many, if not more, games?
For me, no diss to any of them because they're all great, and Jackson Arnold is going to be great. But I'd have to go with my favorite Oklahoma player of all time. The only person that can just, no matter what's happening, brings his team up and brings the other team down without even his play, just words. And that's Baker Mayfield. I just think the way he can get a team fired up and get under the other team's skin. All those guys have all the talent in the world, but that was like, he was kind of like, I'm not going to say he's the greatest of all time, but the way Michael Jordan, like, he had all the talent in the world, but he also could just get in your head and
back it up.
He had both. Yeah. He had both, and that's what separated him from anybody else. I think Baker's skill was incredible, but the fact that he could just get under the other team's skin and just really rile them up. I don't know. I would love to see him. Oh, and also Baker with our defense.
Yeah, that's fair.
But any of those guys with this defense. So, like, and even then our defense could be even better than they are, but this is still a better defense than those guys had. But that'd be my answer, but I wouldn't be mad at any of them.
What do you think, Gannon?
Well, I don't know. I want to say just all the chips in, man. I'll go Jackson Arnold. I think he's the man, dude. Like, I don't know. I forgot I was gonna say earlier, like the biggest losses, kind of, I guess you could say, of like Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield's like career was at the end of college at the time, at least their biggest losses. They were distraught, obviously, but Jackson Arnold's biggest loss of his career just came in his first start in college, which is like, I don't know, I think he's gonna have a different kind of like fire behind him, motivating him, especially going into the SEC.
Yeah.
I just have a different kind of feeling. I'm gonna go Jackson Arnold.
Garrett, what about you?
I'm with Gannon. I think Arnold. Everything Kellen pointed out about Baker,
It's true.
I think is true. Yes, but I think Arnold can and will be at that point once he gets more game time and confidence. Not that he doesn't have confidence in himself, but once he has the gameplay
game flow
to
and all
prove
that.
it.
Yeah.
Like, I think athletically, he's right behind Kyler because Kyler's arguably the best athlete of all time in college football. Like, he's just not, maybe not all time, but he's up there.
He's
Like,
up
he's
there.
an insane
He's up there.
athlete.
Yeah.
Sam Bradford, one of the most accurate quarterbacks of all time. That's statistically proven. I think Arnold is right behind every single one of them in every category. So he's a combination of both, with the dad's favorite word, moxie of Baker, athleticism of Kyler, and arm talent / strength of Bradford.
What has he done for you to think that he'll have like just the mouthiness of Baker and the get under your skin? Because like his dad talked about how quiet he is and how like it was good for him to sit behind Dylan Gabriel to learn how to become a leader, but he's a very quiet guy. So like, I'm not saying anything against him. I love the guy. I can't wait to see him play. I just don't see him being a guy that's up there planting a flag in the middle of Ohio State's stadium. And I'm not saying it has to get to that level, but even half of that would be enough.
For me, what it is high school play and what he did in high school, which granted, that's a year ago, being behind Gabriel, that could have changed. But on the other side, like you said, I don't see him planting a flag in the middle of the field. But what I do see from Baker is getting a first down, getting hit really hard or something, standing up in the dude's face and like making sure the crowd and everyone knows like he's here. It's a first down, and like, come at him and try and come at him again. Like,
yeah,
stuff like that more so than, grabbing his stuff to the Kansas sideline and everything. Like,
no, I agree.
That's different. But I think,
is he mouthy, or is it more just kind of like you said, just like on the field? Like,
I think it's
you can tell he's the boss.
Like,
the confidence.
The confidence, and he makes a big play or something, he's going to stare him right in the eyes. Yeah. Like, he's going to let him know. Yeah. It's hard to do on a football field, but basketball, we see it a lot. A guy hits a clutch shot on a defender, and they just kind of stare at him while they're walking down the court. It's like, okay.
Knowing what I know now,
Dad, here you go.
I would have Jackson Arnold. I love Baker Mayfield. I think I love his attitude and just his confidence, and he gets his team his team just feeds off of it. But we didn't win a title with him. We didn't win a title with any of those guys, and I love them to death. They all were Heisman Trophy quarterbacks, but I think we have the opportunity to win a title with Jackson Arnold.
But while I see what you're saying, like not winning a title with Baker was not Baker. Like you can't put up 50, 60 points and blame it on him.
For whatever reason, and I don't understand it, and I'd love to see it, why Lincoln Riley took the ball out of his hands in that Rose Bowl against Georgia. Didn't make any sense whatsoever. Because he was the Heisman winning quarterback, and he should have let him. He's the one reason
he was on fire.
Took the ball out of his hands, and basically, in my opinion, that's why we lost the game. But I'm just saying, knowing what I know now and everything, I think I would put all the chips in, because I think Jackson Arnold has the potential to be the best quarterback in the history of Oklahoma Sooners football. That's what I think. I don't know whether or not I'm right or wrong, but just from people that I trust and I listen to and all that kind of stuff, and what they have said about him, he's got the chance and the potential. I don't want to put that all on him, but I think he's going to be fantastic. It's going to be a lot different, though. It's going to be a lot tougher when you're going up against Alabama or you're going up against Georgia, LSU.
Well, that's the thing, though.
These defenses, it's going to be tougher. But those defenses are more, getting him ready for the NFL than the Kansases and the Iowa State.
They're getting more ready for the college football playoffs, too.
No, yeah, you're right. Exactly, 100%. So that's what I'm looking at.
But I just hope we have the offensive coordinator to –
Oh, we do. Hey, do not.
Because, as much as I hate Lincoln Riley, he knew what he was doing on offense most of the time. He always ran a good offense. I just hope we have the coaching staff around him that will use him to this advantage.
Seth Luttrell is going to be a really good offense coordinator. He likes to throw the ball around as well. He was a fullback at Oklahoma 2000 national championship out of Muskogee. He's a state high school wrestler that won the what do you call it, the state, his weight class here in Oklahoma. He would beat up all those offensive coordinators by himself. That dude is like one tough guy. I wouldn't, if you want to go in a fight, that's who you want to bring in with you. He's going to bring that attitude with him. I promise you. That wasn't his offense, the whole thing. He probably threw a few things of his that he likes. Just wait. This guy is he's going to be a future head coach in college football, and it's because of the way he'll play, some play calling and Jackson Arnold.
My thing though is like Kellen said, Riley had the offensive locked down. We don't have any side locked down right now. Venables, Venables, in my opinion, he has got to lock down that defense next year.
100%.
Being the head coach and being the
100%.
talent that or what he's done before. In my opinion, next year's the year to prove it. If you're going to show us anything, he's got so much talent on that defense now. People coming back and people coming in that I don't really care. Who we played. Yeah, we've got to show out on defense.
100%. What I'll do in the next week in between now and then is we'll look at his defense at Clemson the first year, second year, third year, and all that. Doesn't guarantee a squad here at Oklahoma, but I'm just interested in seeing, because you're right. They've got to start locking it down and quit giving up big plays, quit having they have moments to they don't know what's going on. I don't know. I mean, and it's frustrating. So we've got to figure that out. Oh my goodness. Alabama's good.
Michigan just muffed another punt and almost got a safety, but Alabama knocked him out at the 1.
I was wondering what just happened.
Who's got the ball?
Michigan does now, because Alabama just had a 3-and-out, but that punt.
Yeah, but now they're on the 1-yard line, and they got to try and not do a safety.
Well, yeah.
But that's what I mean. Alabama just came in clutch with that punt. So,
sure.
Because all they needed, it's tied. All they need is a field goal. But
Michigan,
that's their second muff, and that's their second guy back there.
Learn how to hike the football. They would have hit that extra point, they'd be winning this game. So it is what it is. So, but hey, the Fox Den Sports Podcast would love to thank every single one of you for listening to the podcast. Thank you so much. We'll be on again here soon. I know we're going to be also wanting to put out more content on different sports. We need, there'll be separate podcasts dealing with NFL or Oklahoma City Thunder, things like that. So just because you are subscribing to our channel, don't stop, because we're still going to put some Oklahoma Sooner content out there. But you got to think about it. The season's over, so we're going to have to kind of go in a different direction with some NFL, some Thunder things that we want to talk about as well. We're always going to talk about Oklahoma at some point, the closer it gets, to the season and transfer portal news and all those kind of things. So remember, but subscribe to our YouTube channel, folks. That's the best way to find out about us. We're on, Kellen has the Twitter account. Garrett takes care of the Instagram account, so we're on there as well. And just make sure, you guys all tune into us and subscribe and put in comments, because we love your comments and we appreciate everything you do for us. However, I want to remind everybody that iron sharpens iron.
Please stay safe.
Be savage and not average.
And remember to join the skulk.
And until next time, good.
Bye, everybody.
Boomer. Jackson Arnold.
You've been listening to the Fox Den Sports Podcast with Todd, Kellen, Garrett, and Gannon. Find us on Facebook at Fox Den Sports. That's Fox with 2 X's. Drop us an email at foxdensports@yahoo.com. and be sure to share this podcast with other sports fans in your life. This has been Fox Den Sports.